more than just a core value, it's a way of being and it's integrity. So I think what we bring to this is integrity, doing the right thing. We really drive ourselves as a company in doing the right thing. And we say it all the time, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. And so having a commitment to that is sort of unique in our market. Not that there aren't, companies with great integrity, but when you're selling products and you're owned by other entities, right, you're driven by, your revenue and other factors. It's just a different mindset. As a services only company, we're not selling the products that are involved. We're providing the services to implement them and make sure you get a return on your investment. So I think the true value proposition for us is our whole objective is making sure our customers maximize their return on that investment.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Grow IT podcast. One of your hosts here, Trey King. And today we are very excited to have our guest, Mr. Zach Johnson from S&P Consultants. And today we'll be diving into his story a little bit, as well as what it is that his company does, and then some engaging insights, as always, into the technology industry. So make sure to stick around for this one, guys. But without further ado, Zach, welcome to the Grow IT podcast. Thanks for hopping on.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me today.
Zach, if we can maybe kick things off, if you don't mind, just to quickly introduce yourself, and then tell us a bit around your background, a snippet of or two of your story.
Absolutely. Thank you. So again, Zach Johnson with S&P Consultants. I'm the president of S&P. We came online September of this year. Really neat opportunity for us to move into the federal market in what we do. I've been with S&P for a little over 12 years now, and we've grown quite a bit during that time frame. We moved out of the LIS lab information system space into the full electronic health record market. We are a services-based company exclusively implementing, optimizing, supporting electronic health records and all of the the systems that are in play there end to end for healthcare. So everything from a revenue cycle, clinical operations, any activity that happens within the healthcare environment, the technology they use, we work with. We've been doing this for over 25 years now, primarily in the commercial market here in the United States. But as that market became more saturated with technology and more mainstream, thanks to meaningful use, we ultimately realized that the opportunity for us was to move into the federal market and take our experience and success to support their needs, build on our lessons learned to help them be successful in their deployment and modernization effort.
Awesome.
We also work in the ERP space. So in addition to electronic health records, we do the same business model supporting enterprise resource planning systems for federal customers as well.
Excellent. Zach, tell me, how did you get into this business sector, right? What was it that sparked your interest, that made you so passionate about what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a problem solver, even just growing up.
Right.
I grew up on a farm in the Midwest, and I often a lot of time by myself, have to solve my own problems, and I've always enjoyed that. Sort of having that challenge, taking on that risk, and experiencing the reward that comes from that sort of follow through and seeing those things through to closure. In healthcare, there are endless opportunities to have a positive impact on healthcare delivery operations. And I had an affinity for medicine. I wanted to be a doctor growing up. I thought I was going to go, be a doctor.
Yeah.
But I got into the healthcare IT sort of by chance. The hospital I worked at in college was implementing a medical record system at the time. My dad worked with computers, and I thought it was cool, so I got into it. And then I quickly realized it was the perfect landing spot for me to go in and help deploy technology in support of healthcare. And in doing that, I've learned how through my network and through my experience to really focus more on process improvement, workflow aspect of it, and how making technology work for clinicians rather than the other way around. And I love what I do. I love having my hands in that, and the relationships that I've formed in that have really been meaningful, to me over my career. So really just comes
Awesome.
down to that problem solving mindset and having the opportunity to do that.
And like you said, you actually brought two of your best worlds together from a healthcare
Right.
perspective and from a, if I can may say, like an IT perspective, right?
Correct.
Um,
Correct.
that's quite profound. Tell me, Zach, based on your expertise, what are like the current market trends that you're aware of? What ways are the winds blowing these days? What are you picking up, man?
Yeah, so it's an exciting time. I feel like the last decade or two is was sort of like building the foundation for healthcare IT modernization, and the
Yeah,
new wave right now is all about now moving from data entry and the mundane use of a system that seems to add more burden rather than add value to the clinician to what can we do with the data that we're now obtaining, and how can we use that data to improve operational decision making from staffing and workflow and facilities and cost management and so forth, to obviously the quality of care that's being delivered, improving care delivery, access to care, and the outcomes. Artificial intelligence is obviously the big
the
buzz
buzzword.
phrase of modern times. I think healthcare is an area where we're already seeing breakthroughs, where AI is becoming more mainstream, and it's not the thing that everyone rolls their eyes at anymore. It's real and it's here,
Yeah,
and it's here to stay. And so I think the key here is it's a new frontier. Plenty of opportunity for everyone. And what we're seeing is a lot of competition in the market, but at the same time, everyone's sort of rowing in the same direction, and it's around quality, process, improvement and outcomes improvement. So I would say, AI is the new frontier, while also just working to scale. I think scale, in modern times, the cost that's associated with healthcare is obviously a well publicized and discussed topic. And I think, what we'll see over the next decade is an investment in reducing the cost to provide care while also trying to improve, quality outcomes and actually being able to do that. I think we were building the
yeah.
foundation for that again, but now we can really make a tangible impact on all of this.
You've actually touched on it already on what it is that your company does. Uh, I'm thinking now of from a value perspective, right? Can you maybe explain what is the from your point of view the most significant value what your business obviously brings to to the healthcare sector? I don't know if it's maybe possible maybe to add to that, maybe just an example of where you guys have assisted and helped a client by what you guys are doing. Obviously, not mentioning the client's name. I don't know if I can get in trouble for that, but just an example.
Sure, absolutely. So I think, more than just a core value, it's a way of being and it's integrity. So I think what we bring to this is integrity, doing the right thing. We really drive ourselves as a company in doing the right thing. And we say it all the time, doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. And so having a commitment to that is sort of unique in our market. Not that there aren't, companies with great integrity, but when you're selling products and you're owned by other entities, right? You're driven by your revenue and other factors. It's just a different mindset. As a services only company, we're not selling the products that are involved. We're providing the services to implement them and make sure you get a return on your investment. So I think the true value proposition for us is our whole objective is making sure our customers maximize their return on that investment. We aren't bound to revenue milestones and goals from that perspective. We're bound to the customer's success. Like we only succeed when they succeed. And when that's your business model and
Right.
those are your drivers, it's just a different mindset. It's a different relationship that forms. The interactions are different. And it always keeps us working and energy around the things that matter most. And so I think that's the true value proposition we bring to the market. I think it's also a tremendous amount of lessons learned. We've really focused on learning from our experience, capturing that, and we built that into a consulting framework that we branded Integrity. And it's essentially, there's a rhythm and a method to what we do, and we've
Right.
learned how to sort of tune that and optimize that based off of the type of client or the situation we're facing. And we continually learn and we invest in that process of learning and growing as a team. And
Mm.
it really differentiates us in our ability to deliver, on time, on budget, implementations that actually achieve objectives, because we're focused on, measuring that progress all along the way. We don't get to the end and then look back and scratch our heads and say, boy, I wish we would have thought of that or put a little more time into this. We're constantly focused on what we can do to improve and do better and stay on track with the work that we're doing. And that's
Yeah.
really what differentiates us from most.
Awesome.
As far as the customer impact on that level,
Yeah.
a great example, there's an island nation that we supported that was largely on paper. They had some systems, departmental systems,
Old school stuff.
old school stuff, and we were able to modernize, their technologies for their health system, which ultimately modernized healthcare for an entire nation. In that same process, it wasn't just about the technology; it was about uplifting their clinical practices and workflows and standardizing those to improve the quality of care and to address their very unique challenges of being an island nation and having access to care and supporting both their own inherent population, but the tourist population they support, and the unique challenges that they face, being a destination of that nature. And then you add to that it being largely a government-funded healthcare model. We developed some really unique integrations and workflows that sort of automate that whole process. Again, reducing the cost and the burden around healthcare administration, allowing them to focus on quality and access to care, really having a very significant impact on healthcare for the entire country. It's really neat when you can have that sort of impact as a company and what we do.
Yeah, that's where one can feel the value, right?
Right.
And that's why we do what we do. That's awesome.
Yep.
Zach, I would like your opinion on, if we can maybe just step back specifically on the business for now. In your opinion, like, what type of mindset would you say is needed to be like a successful president of a company?
That's a loaded question. I think
Yeah.
there's no single answer to that question. I'll be
Yeah.
honest with you. I think you can be successful with different mindsets, but it might come down to who you
Mm.
are as a person and your personality type. But what my best answer to that would be, um, for me, it's about putting things in focus and making sure I stay on point with what our priorities are. Our people, for what we do, for a services-based organization, to be a president of that company is to put our people first, and to build them up and give them the tools that they need to be successful, and to realize that it's about them. They are our people, are our asset. They are our intellectual property. They are our success, and everything goes through them. So I think having a mindset that we build our company around what they do, and having them work at the top of licensure, giving them the tools and the automation and the education and support they need to work at the top of their ability at all times. It then brings them
Right.
great satisfaction in achieving what they're trying to do. They want to come into work every day and be a part of a team that is given those opportunities. And I've been there. I've done what our consultants do for a long time before I became the president of our company. So I think
Yeah.
being able to relate to them and stay relatable and supportive of their needs is the number one factor for a president and in the industry that I'm in. I'm sure that's very different for other companies, but for a services-based company, putting your people first is the number one priority. And then, staying true to your core values, being second. And I think not being afraid of accountability is third. And what I mean by that is that accountability is often sort of seen like a four-letter word, like it's a bad thing. And I think that, what I've learned throughout my career is accountability is structure, it's discipline, and it's respect. I'm trusting and empowering, a team of consultants to take on a multi-million-dollar or even billion-dollar modernization effort for technology. I trust them. I'm empowering them to be successful. But in that, accountability is key. So I think, infusing accountability and trust into an organization is paramount, and everything else sort of builds from there on those factors.
On those pillars. Tell me, you mentioned earlier always you guys are always learning, right, and evolving.
Mhm.
Um, we've got a lot of listeners that might be in a position that they are maybe at a at a company and wanting to shift to open up their own business, or it might be that they are in their company, they want to pivot or they want to grow into that president role. Is there maybe one or two things, right, that you can, that you can share that, that you've learned on your career up until now that you can maybe add to what you previously said as well?
Absolutely. So boy, I could talk all day, probably forever, about the lessons that I've learned personally in my career. But on this particular point, I would say that we can't drive industry. And one thing I think I kind of I will roll my eyes at from time to time, or I wonder where people are coming from when they go out and try to build a new opportunity or new business around something they think they can just force the industry to want. You really need to listen to the demands of the industry, and you can challenge it and you can help raise the bar, but you can't always direct where the industry is going to go. You got to give them what they need. You
Good
want to
point.
think about and you want to build on it. And you want to challenge them to elevate where they're going, but you've got to listen. And I think that's the key point to it is you can be the best at what you do, but if what you're doing isn't relevant to the needs of the real world, you're going to have a hard time selling that, and getting that you know to be something that you can scale and build a business around. I
Yeah,
think the
yeah,
second factor to that for me would be around, um, the again, I come back to people. I'm a people person, I guess, but the network that you create and not being afraid to lean into that. I think that there's not enough energy around that, leveraging that peer network and growing together. A lot of people try to make it about themselves or feel more comfortable, focusing on their own capabilities and building on that. My success in my career is really from my network and trying to lift my entire network up. And I think that's the key is seeing that your network, your peers, the other businesses, even your competitors, if we raise the bar for all of those, you're gonna, the tide is gonna lift you up as well. And I
yeah,
think that's a
yeah.
key part of this is giving back, knowledge sharing, being a thought leader is just as important as being a people leader in what we do. And it builds the respect and trust and visibility you need to be successful in any industry.
Yo, that's good golden nuggets, man. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Zach, the value that you mentioned, what you guys bring to the table, as well as the leadership that you guys have in yourself and obviously your colleagues as well. It makes sense to me why you guys are doing so well. So I would like to thank you for coming on today. You've made a great contribution to the podcast, and wish you and your colleagues in the business all the best going forward. And thanks for hopping on today.
Absolutely. Thank you again for your time and for this opportunity. And I look forward to seeing the outcome of all these efforts, both our contributions here today, but from others you're working with as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Zach, before I let you go, tell me, where can the listeners get hold of you guys?
Yeah, you can obviously find us online, www.spfed.com, spfed.com. But S&P Consultants, pretty easy to find out there. You can contact me directly anytime, and I can share my contact information with you. But I think, most importantly is just keep an ear out. I think you'll see our name, becoming more and more prevalent in the industry. We're really uniquely aligned right now and in a position for tremendous growth. So excited about the path ahead for S&P.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. Thanks, Zach. Take care.
Thank you so much.